This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Twin First Mayor and Council meeting. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, as we come into the Christmas season, we pray for peace, goodwill to all men, and that everybody can get along and all the fighting and everything would stop. And everybody can just get along and enjoy this wonderful time of the year. Oh Lord, bless and keep all of us. We pray for those who are ill and in hospitals. Touch them and let them know and give them thy healing hand. Comfort them and comfort the family in hard times. Oh Lord, as we go into our meeting tonight, please guide us in a godly manner that we make the right decisions for not only the town, but the townspeople too. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
We are missing one council member. Assistant Mayor Tony Nally is away this week.
Yes.
And before we go into our meeting, I would like to introduce our guest tonight. I had the opportunity to talk to her before the meeting. Would you like to stand up, your name, what troop you're with?
My name is Caitlin Boyd and I'm with Troop 2119 out of Sharpsburg.
And you're working towards?
I'm working to be a first class scout.
Congratulations and good luck to you. Would you like to ask any of the council members any questions? Nope. Okay.
We'll be here all night.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes for November 2024 meeting, draft minutes?
Yeah, I gave Kim just like 2 or 3 tiny little stuff.
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes as changed?
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries. Treasurer's report.
Yes, that would be me. I'll try to get through this as I've had a little cough and laryngitis. And I know Howard likes it when I can't talk much. So everyone, I hope you received 14 attachments that are sent out on Friday. I'll go over the summary here. If I can get through. Okay. On the general fund, in the spirit of something Mary Lee brought up a couple of years ago, I asked Brian to go back and put on here the ending bank balance and the GL ending balance so that we were clear on what we were looking at. So for the general fund, it has an ending balance of $3,183,000 and change in the GL. The highlights include, I think we had talked about, we were expecting a $39,000 refund from the JIP, and we got that this month, so that's in here. I'm not going to go over all those highlights. On the restricted funds, that has a GL balance of $455,000 and change. We had a call from the bank. Last week that was confusing, so Brian and I wrote out, and what we had done there, that's in a money market account. We had lost our promotional higher money market rate, and the rate has dropped. So I talked to Tony about this and a couple of other things. When he gets back from vacation, we're going to go through this with a little bit of a finer tooth comb. Although Middletown's been very good to us, we need to stay on top of where we're getting the best rates. So of this $455,000 and some change, Brian tells me that there's about $80,000 included in there for the EPC website, which came in much under what was quoted, what was awarded through the grant. So we have to the end of 2025 to use that money, or we have to return it. Okay? If we skip down to the CDs, Fulton Bank, we have CDs totaling 261,000 and some change. Middletown, 55,000 and change. Wells Fargo, 2 million and change. I want to go back and take a look at all these, not necessarily for this report, but in the future. How many CDs do we have in each of these institutions, and what are the maturity dates? So we can keep track of these, and I know Brian does, but
He
I
has them
didn't.
on the report, maturity date.
Okay, and I didn't go look at all those details, but I wanted to get a better look at that. Okay, a water fund, we have an ending balance of 1,325,000 and change. And yes, we did receive our 400,000 from the county, so that was a positive. Also, we paid the first invoice for reservoir replacement. Rachel and Company is doing a good job with that. In other words, trying to use our grant monies and such, what we have to use first, so we don't lose any of this. So they split that first invoice between the ARPA funds and a grant that we had. So good job on that, Rachel. The water fund, restricted funds had the GL balance of 2,568,000 and change. The rescue plan, we still have a balance there. It seems like we keep spending the money, but because of interest, the amount keeps going up. 2,375,000 and change. And again, we did spend a little bit of it for that first invoice, as I mentioned. Finally, the sewer fund, the ending GL balance of 295,000 and change, and restricted funds has 119,000 and change. And I'll just end with, again, Tony, Brian, and I want to get together, just take a little finer look at some of this stuff, mainly to get me on board with a little better, because I haven't looked at it for a good while. And I want to get back to possibly taking a look at that MLGIP that we had talked about, which is a AAA money market fund administered through PNC Bank. So that would be my report on the fund.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Eric?
Well, I'll just comment that Tony, Brian, and I did get to meet following the audit and go over the restricted funds. So he did make the bank sweeps for those entries that the accounting firm had suggested we do before the end of the year. So those are no longer on the treasurer's report, they've been done.
Okay.
And we can ask Brian to give you a breakdown in the restricted funds, so you'll know what, EDC and grants, because that was noted in the audit, and you know what I mean, our balance and no match the June 30th.
Okay, well, one other thing that, to follow on, I noticed just today that our ARP account, even though it's at Middletown Valley, they've actually done what you typically do with a brokered CD. They farmed it out to a bunch of different banks.
Yes.
So that we're under our 250,000.
Exactly, yes, and the Wells Fargo gets that list from Brian every month too, so that we make sure our CDs aren't in overlapping banks, so that we maintain our FDIC insurance.
Okay, and finally, with this money market of the 455,000, it doesn't appear to me, just taking a quick look today, that looks like that's just sitting in one account. So I had Brian
Yeah, I
email
think it's
Jason.
an ICS, because
I
otherwise
think
Jason would
I
have
did see that.
contacted.
Yeah. So I had Brian email Jason today, just so I can better understand how we're protected on that.
Right, well, that would be the same thing.
And that would be the same kind of thing,
Yeah,
except one's a money market and one's.
right, same as our checking, because it
Yeah.
has, so, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Do you have any guests signed up there?
No, sir.
Okay. The public comments, we don't have any guests that signed up, do we? Okay. Moving right along. She just did. at the beginning.
Okay, all
I
right.
introduced her.
I didn't know if there was more.
Yeah, that's all.
She didn't have any questions.
No.
Yeah, she had to interview Mr. Law earlier.
Good. Public Works Superintendent, Greg,
Yeah.
where's yours, sir?
We'll start with the walking drugs. I know everybody's wondering what's going on with it. We called, emailed them guys multiple different times, and they just, I knew it was gonna happen. It's too cold out now. They're not gonna put the blacktop down till springtime. So I did tell them, I tagged Rachel in the email, they have to put this, at least put the stone down. Grade it off and get the stone put down so people's not walking in the mud.
Did they reply to that?
Yep, they were supposed to. He did reply and said he was gonna do it last Wednesday.
Yeah.
So here we are Monday, still no work done. So it ain't just us, it's all over the county, all the jobs that they're doing. They just hooked up the sewer down here at 222 Center Street and never filled the guy's ditch back into his house. Now his foundation's caving into the ditch. I mean, it's all over. They just can't, they don't have enough help. They've been off too much work, more than they can chew. I've emailed them multiple times. Drew's emailed them. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's nothing I can do. I can't go up there and force them to come down. Put the
Can't do
blacktop down.
anything about what we have with them now, but we can remember that the next time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just don't understand it.
That's Huntsbury again, Greg?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're still making asphalt. People are still out there paving.
Yeah, they are, but pervious pavement's gotta be like 36 and above and rising. It's a little different than regular blacktop. Then it's more, not the same stuff that you guys put down in driveways and streets and stuff.
Right.
It's more porous, lets the water run down through it.
Okay.
So we do not want them coming down and putting it down with this temperatures.
Because it won't last.
You know,
yeah, we'll just crack.
all of our salt's been delivered out to the shed, so we're good to go for the winter. On the sewer side, I got a call in last Sunday night to Keysville for a water main break, and upon arrival, I figured it out, it was a sewer. So it ended up being the county, it was a force main that busted, heaved the road up. And then on the water and sewer side, we did 304 missed utility tickets in the last 30 days.
Wow.
So that's either one guy or two guys sometimes has to go out and mark every single water and sewer line every time a ticket comes in. I've never seen that many come in at one time. I just want to let you guys know, if you've seen them out, that's what they were doing.
How many, Greg?
304 since November 1st. It's crazy.
Not because we still had coverage even though we had a new plan.
Yeah, Drew texted me every weekend. He's like, is your phone, what he thought Miss Utility was broken? I'm like, my phone was broken.
It just kept listing more, I was like, something wrong here?
We got them all taken care of, everything's done.
Good.
Yeah. That's all I have,
Guys did an excellent job on the park.
except for the tree.
Curse is Sandy.
It worked. He actually plugged the tree in while Harriet was coming down with the fire truck. Somebody tripped over the cord, unplugged it. When Harriet counted down, he plugged it in and didn't like it.
That's 2 years in a row.
No, it lit
3 years.
last year.
Yeah, that's right.
It was the
Last
year
year
before
it
that
lit.
Yeah,
Year,
year
2
before.
years before. We tried, what, 3 times?
Three
3 times. It finally lit.
So we're gonna spend like
It wasn't
$100.
a Hallmark moment, let's just say that.
We're gonna spend like $100. We'll go bury it underground so nobody can do it again. So we got to worry about it.
Oh, that just takes the fun out.
Yeah, for you, I was running around down there with climbing under the tree.
Did you see Greg take a dive underneath the tree?
Yeah, he
and plug it in real quick?
I said it was the curse of Sandy Claus.
Yep, Santa Claus.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have anything for Greg?
So, thank you.
And thank you for your
Hard
hard work,
look great.
guys.
Looks great.
I'll start with the water side. We're in Keysville, as you know, I told you that I had a pump out over there, the one spring pump. Well, now the other one has issues that I've been working on all day today. I think I got it cured for a little bit. So I'm hoping it holds out until we get the other one back, and then we're gonna have to do something with that one, most likely when the other one gets fixed. And I finally got a hold of Phillips for the well down here in the park. January 8th, they're saying they're gonna come hook it up and get it finished.
You said January 8th.
Been having, like the other guy Greg was talking about here, having a hard time getting help and keeping help, so I'm gonna just wait on it. So he's guaranteeing me January 8th they'll be here and finish it. Other than that, everything on the water side is running pretty smooth. Now to the sewer side, been having, as you know, I've been messing with the Route 34 pump station, having issues. The pump that we ordered, the guy who recommended that pump didn't exactly know what he was doing or something, because it won't work. So we're gonna have to send that pump back. And I'm trying to get a hold of a couple other vendors to come down, and I got another guy coming down tomorrow is gonna come and look at it and, see what it's gonna take to find me a pump somewhere. And we'll figure out what we can do since that pump station's so old, it's hard time finding the parts to get it repaired now. It might be something in the future we're gonna probably have to start looking at is upgrade that thing, or if they're gonna be doing some kind of building out that way, have a developer put another pump station somewhere. That place is so old and outdated, it's just becoming a pain in the butt big time. I'm constantly over there working right now, it's just one thing after another with it. And I'm on the other pump right now too, it has a mechanical seal out on it. So I'm running a pump to pump the water out, and it's blowing down in the pit while it's pumping the water out of the wet well. So I'm in like a dire situation right there, and I've been struggling trying to keep that thing going, but so far it's been working. Not had anything come out on the ground, everything's been working good. Then at the sewer plant, I got one issue with the chlorine analyzer now, and it's starting to act up. It just constantly calling us in the middle of the night anymore. It'll work all day long good until 2 o'clock in the morning once it calls you when it gets out of range. So we're gonna probably have to be looking to replace that soon too. And that's runs about $5,000 for one of them. But other than that, the rest of this, everything else in the sewer has been running good so far. Since with all this cold weather, it's been doing good. Other than that, that's it. That's all the problems I got.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, crew too. Anybody, you guys
That's
about
it?
2 o'clock in the morning? Anybody have any questions of Pete?
Is there anything we can do to make life easier for you?
Nope, that's because of the pump. Like I said, the pump station's so old, the pumps are obsolete. You can't find them anymore.
Mhm.
So usually when something goes obsolete, somebody makes something that will replace that pump. But for some reason, this pump, they can't find one. So the original guys who I had always work on it, they're gonna take, also I've got to tell you, the valve in there stopped working too. So I gotta pump it the whole way down, just so I can get a pump up out of there and cover it. So I can't take a pump out because I have to get a homemade seal cover to put on the one loop where the pump needs to come out, so it holds the water from coming in and flooding out the whole wet well.
Check valve?
It's not a check valve, it's a butterfly valve that went bad, it's just not holding.
Oh, okay.
It's 70 years old. It's been in there since the 60s, so it's worn out, it won't hold anymore. So now what I gotta do is pump, like I said, pump the pit the whole way down, take the pump out, put a cap on there to seal it. And then I can let it fill up, and then I have to unhook off the other pump, and it's becoming a hassle. It's something that like I said, we're gonna have to look into down the line here soon, having something done with that pump station. It's just so old and outdated.
We'll have to look at it real soon, real soon.
We're gonna have to get an asset, you know, to so you know, dates, and life expectancy, so we can budget better. You know what I mean? You know that 7 years.
What's the average cost of a pump and a motor?
Well, the one that we just tried to get to replace it was $27,000.
Wow.
Pumps aren't cheap, especially ones that size. It's a 400 gallon a minute pump.
Yeah.
So that's why they're certain, that was the cheap one that we went for. The other one was $38,000 for a crane that they wanted to put in there. So I'm trying to stay away from that, but we might have to end up going with whatever it's gonna work.
We gotta do what we have to do.
Yeah, so I said, we're gonna have to do what we're gonna have to do if I can't get none of these other pumps to work. So I'm gonna talk to them about that pump they recommended, besides this one that was supposed to be able to hook up. This one was supposed to be able to just bolt right in, but the guy who was the person selling for the company, apparently he doesn't know what he's talking about, so.
Lou Press doing okay?
Doing great. But we're still working on trying to get more different polymers to try to figure out which one's the best. But right now, even with the cold weather, it's hard getting a good solids percentage. But he's doing good today. He got over 16 with it, which is good for this time of year, so.
Good.
He's doing a good job with it. Jesse's doing a little bit with
Yes.
it.
Just take pride in doing that.
Yeah, he loves that thing every day. He's on it, so.
Thank you, Pete.
He likes making poop cakes.
Town manager's report. Rachel?
I don't have a whole lot to say unless you guys have questions about something. I've been dedicating a lot of time to ensuring that we're in compliance with all the grants that we have. And while it is wonderful that we've received so much grant funding in the past few years, they require a lot of management, and I feel like we need to get away from relying so heavily on grant funding for capital improvement projects. partially because grants are never guaranteed and our aging infrastructure is. But we also need to plan for the increased manpower that comes with projects in a growing town. So Pete just laid out all these issues that he's having. Greg had come in at 2:00. We're already kind of maxing out staff that we have, and as we continue to grow and have more projects, we're just gonna need more. And we do have fantastic staff that work really hard. We just need to make sure that we're not, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Where,
I guess so.
Overworked.
Yeah, and plus grants typically don't fund salaries. So if we do find that we need to add staff, that grants aren't gonna be an option. So we just need to figure out another way to get funding for capital improvement projects. And then the other item, I had emailed you guys this morning that, WRA submitted a proposal for T&M for the reservoir project. So I do need approval on that. It's not to exceed $50,000 and it would only be used when there are, when there's time and materials that have to have WRA on them, being the whole purpose of contracting with Aero for the construction management and inspection is for them to handle that, but there will be certain parts that WRA has to be consulted for. So this will cover us to ensure that, they'll be responsive and work with us.
Eric, what was your thoughts on that? I'd just like to hear Eric's comment to that, since he's the most versed
Funny that you asked.
We did have comments on
the
it.
VMUC.
So I was at the world famous Redbird when I got that email.
Okay.
And I sat there and read it, and my first thought was, did the VMUC approve this? And my second thought was, well, how did this even come about? And as I read this, and then compared it to what we had awarded Aero, the first thing I see on WRA's scope of work, it says project management. Well, I thought that's what we awarded Aero to do. So I was a little unclear as I read through the rest of this to make sure we're not paying two different places for the same thing. And I'm sure that we're all smarter than that and everything, but just the way it read, I noticed it talked about the RFIs and technical consultation. And Aero specifically says engineering services. So maybe it's just a wording thing, but I just didn't understand the exact difference between the two of them.
Well, the other thing that kind of struck me was the count that it was 50,000, which was just what we changed our sealed bidding and.
I had mentioned that to Rachel in the office
You know what I
today.
mean, to the cap.
Yes, it almost seemed like,
Somebody was listening to
with
the
all
meeting
due
or
respect to
something.
WRA, it sounded like they just came back and threw a number out there that they weren't awarded.
I don't remember you saying that.
Not,
But-
maybe not those words.
If
but-
that is why they did that, they didn't listen carefully because 50,000 and above,
Right.
we need to get bids on. But this would be for WAR specific stuff. That's why it would be like sole source. Drew, did I leave out any details as to why a T&M was necessary?
No. The primary reason is because WRA was the design engineer. So they designed the entire site. There are questions that come about when you submit for the actual pieces of equipment that you have to talk to the design engineer what he was thinking. Because if something doesn't line up, which happens in construction, right, Pete? Things don't work, or you're trying to go from two-dimensional paper to a shop drawing. There are questions that do come up that you have to ask the design engineer, what was his intent? And that's what it's really for.
Okay.
It's not to do project management. Will they do project management? Yes, because in their world, when they see RFI, request for information. So we already had one question that came up, just to give you guys an example, because I like to use examples. They have a go-getter at HRI that's doing the project, and he's already ordered materials and everything else. He called us and asked us for our town specifications. He read our specifications and said, hey, by the way, the design on your water line going up Boonesboro Mountain Road is different than what your spec. Now, what your engineer spec is better, which one do we use? That's not a question to Aero. They didn't design it. Is there a pressure that they were working from? Was there something? Is there a reason why the spec is different? Or are our specs old? So that's an RFI. Those are kind of questions that will come up. I don't think it should not be anything that's more than $10,000. I mean, these are just quick questions that they can answer very quickly, or permitting questions. When you went and got your permit from MDE for the water permit, they had this comment, but I didn't see that you addressed it. Those kind of things will come up. So it's that because you discoupled the design engineer from the project engineer, there has to be a conduit to go back to the design engineer when we ask them fair questions. Now, do I believe that there should be a little gratis thrown our way on this? Yes, I do. And their future behavior, whether they're going to work with us, we still have 4 open contracts with them. I mean, they're not cut out. They're $200,000 more.
Right.
We like you guys to do a good job, but that's $200,000. I don't know what else to say, you know? So we'll see how it goes, but that's what it's for. If it wasn't WRA, but it was one engineering firm and another engineering, you'd be doing the exact same thing.
Okay.
So it's just to cover, because what you don't want is not to give WRA anything. They get mad. Nobody returns any phone calls, and you got a $6 million project waiting for answers over something that might cost, you know, $150 to get the answer and move along. So that's kind of where you're at.
Well, thanks for the explanation, Drew. So are you saying that maybe we should approve the award for less than 50,000? I mean, it does say up to, but.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that, get you out of the 50,000. I'd approve it for 40 or 45 or whatever. I mean, if that gets you out of your bidding issue that you're concerned with to move the project forward, not really sure the question you're
Shouldn't
asking.
be a bidding issue.
Yeah, it's just not to exceed, and you said it's sole source.
It would be
so-
sole source
Okay.
because we would only ask them questions that WRA has to answer. Otherwise, we would go to Arrow because
That's the bid. I just want to make sure we don't, you know, since we're using ARPA funds and all that good stuff, you know. I don't want you has to do all that documentation, we'd be in trouble for, but again, this 50 could not, could come out of the pot, that's not fair. Right, if we needed to because of that, so.
Yes.
Everybody clear now?
I think I'm more clear.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Abstain. Motion carries.
That's all I have.
That's all you got?
Unless somebody else has a question.
Town planners report, Drew.
Okay, you all received my planning report, give you a couple of highlights, and then you can ask any questions. Planning and zoning, big thing that happened last month is the Dean South final plats were recorded, which means that land has been subdivided. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that have to happen before anything can start. Number one, the road. So that's the other big part that we've been working on this month is getting the road moving forward with the different pieces. The biggest thing that the council needs to be aware of that is critically important when it comes to Chase 6 Boulevard is that the relocation of Campus Drive must be done in the 2-month window in the summer. I spent over a month at different locations at the school complex, both pedestrian traffic, vehicular traffic, morning and afternoon. You cannot take Campus Drive out of service during school. It won't work. It won't work even if you build a temporary road. So as we're moving forward here, the rest of the road project can happen almost at any time, but Campus Drive must be done between June, what was it, Rachel? June 15th and August 25th or something like that. But it was right in that, you know, in that window, and we've got to write the bid specifications right now, which we're doing, so that any contractor that takes the job, whether it's awarded in February or it's awarded in April, everybody knows that Campus Drive gets done in these 2 months. That's the big takeaway you need to remember.
So could the penalty be like if it's not completed, because they get 0 pay now?
No, meaning you
Yeah.
can't bid the project if you don't get this work done in these days. I mean, you just don't bid it. If you don't have the workers, don't do it. So that's just really, really important that we get that done. Because we have a window coming. If we miss that window,
Right, it's another year.
right, and I know that Rachel and I have spent a lot of time talking about it, and she's been reaching out to her counterparts at the Board of Ed and at the county to try to get all the minions in line so that we can all move this thing forward. It doesn't get hung up on some technicality or some issue that we're trying to avoid. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the big takeaway on that one. On the zoning side, you have a Board of Appeals case coming up. That's at 21 South Main Street. It currently is a single-family home. The new owner would like to put 4-unit apartment in there.
121.
Oh, I'm sorry, 121. He wants to put a 4-unit apartment in there. It is allowed in that zoning district under a special exception, which means the Board of Appeals has to grant the special exception to allow it to change use from a single-family home to an apartment. And then he also needs a variance on the minimum width of the lot size. A minimum width lot size for a 4-unit apartment is 200 feet. He's got like 115. So he's going to Board of Appeals on December 17th. Notices have been sent out to adjoining property owners. The property has been posted. Notice went in the paper today, I believe, today. So that's going to be on the 17th. If you have any questions, I have the case information in case you want to have any questions. The Planning Commission has reviewed it and has recommended approval because he's providing all the parking necessary on his own property, nothing on the street. So I think everybody was under the same understanding, Planning Commission and everybody else was, hey, if you didn't have parking and you were going to contribute more spaces on Main Street, that would be a no-go. Because the Board of Appeals has been very clear about that on Main Street, about adding any impact to Main Street. He does have the land, and he has FSA put together a plot plan with the layout of what he's proposing. So we'll see what they say at the Board of Appeals case.
What is that, 21 South?
121.
121. Right next to the Sterling entrance, right next to Reader's entrance.
I'm gonna look at it.
It's Purcell's, Ricky.
Purcell's old house.
So it's the last one on the left, out of town before you get to Sterling.
I'm looking at it right now. So Drew, with respect to that,
Mhm.
assuming, I just want to state it for everybody to hear, assuming that gets approved by Board of Zoning Appeals.
Mhm.
They have 4 apartments. There'll be 4 fixed fees going forward.
Right, so following your new process, you would have to file a site plan. If the site plan's approved by the Planning Commission, then it goes to the BMUC to determine the number of taps that are going to be necessary.
And will that not be 3 additional now?
That would be 3 additional, that's correct.
25K a pop,
That's correct,
and he knows that.
that's correct.
Okay. Just want everybody to hear that. Yeah.
Because we do a fixture unit count that we establish, that's what we follow, that's how it works.
Oh, I could see them lines. I was gonna say it's square footage can't be that big, I think there's way back.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
good.
The trees make it look like it's a little teeny tiny lot,
Yeah, that's what I was.
but it goes
looking at.
way back.
See the houses, that's it right there. I guess I'll play-
Anybody have any questions? Drew?
Those are the highlights, I mean, there's other items in my list, if you have any questions, I'll be happy.
No, thank you
Thank you,
for the
sir.
report.
What about, has anybody spoke to, the one with the problem with the air, the vent?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
The county department of, or Division of Permits and Inspections gave a notice that the owner had 10 days to be responsive in providing an action plan or she would be shut down. She responded, she got a new contractor, they're working towards moving the exhaust system to the top of the building. The issue they ran into is that the contractor is not licensed in Maryland, so he can't get the permits. So he's trying to find someone to pull the county permits for him. After that, then they can work towards moving it. In the meantime, I followed up with the health department to make sure that they would be making sure that the fan is not running as it is in an unacceptable location. The neighbor that had complained confirmed that it has not ran since November 12th, which is when I first met with the county. So but it's mailing along.
Okay. Any further update about the townhouses at St. Paul?
There's not really much else that's gonna move along right now. Greg had filled in the potholes. Are you able to plow with those being, still can't plow the way it's?
I'm just gonna rip all that blacktop patch out of there, it's all gonna be pushed up against the parking spots.
So the plan, is that, well, what I would like to be the plan, you guys will have to be, we'll have to approve it, but when we have to redo the road from the reservoir damage, we'd like to see if we can have that portion in front of the St. Paul Street townhouses redone. It's gonna have to be completely redone. That is what I would like to see happen. I am going to ask our attorney to draw up, I guess, a deed or whatever needs to happen for the town to take ownership of the roads, provided you guys are okay with that. But right now, I need her focusing on the agreements for Chief Six, because as Drew pointed out, that is what we really need to be.
Yeah, this has been an
working
ongoing
towards.
problem,
So
I'm just curious.
she's already working on Chief Six agreements. After that, I'm going to ask her about drawing something up for the townhouses so that we can get that street deeded over. The street seemed to be the number one concern that the townhouse residents had. They had other concerns too, but this is, I think, the one that you guys seemed most agreeable to, that yes, that's not a big deal and it would make a world of difference if we took it over, so
Has
that's
it,
pretty much it.
Drew, has the board come back to you about moving or building that pole barn up there for Mr.
Oh,
McElroy?
McElwee.
They have not gotten back to us on that, but I'm also dealing with Mr. McElwee and getting all his specifics as well. I don't think we're gonna have a problem there. But, Mr. McElwee is now asking questions about, what size of the building. I was like, same size you have.
Wow.
So
I thought
it's
he wanted
like,
it by December.
yeah.
That is another thing that we're working towards, because that is his slowest point. We're trying to get it built in December so that he can move everything like in January, February.
Right.
But there's multiple pieces that are involved, so trying to get on Josh Miller's schedule, and then also making sure that the agreement's far enough along, and of course, it's not gonna already be our property, or it's not gonna change ownership by then. So that's where we need special approval
Right.
from the board, so it's just.
It would be nice to get that built so he can put all his stuff over there. You know what I mean? Get it all taken.
Right, and we're trying to meet his window that
Yeah.
it's
Right.
his slow time of year, and that's what we're trying to meet, and a good faith effort as we're working through all these pieces.
Right.
And, so he's, again, Scott McElwee has been nothing but helpful, kind, and understanding, and making the project happen. So we're trying to, and patient, get it done.
Very
We're just we're all dealing with supply issues and people's time, and we're just trying to make it all work, so.
While Chase Six is like one of our top priorities, it's not for the county or the board, or everybody else who's involved, so we're a little bit at their mercy.
Josh will get that building up in a weekend.
That's what he told me. He said that wouldn't take him any time at all. I said, okay, well, let's get it ordered and, so.
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
So he is ordering the stuff to do it? Okay.
Yeah, he orders it, puts everything,
Mhm.
hires the person to put a garage door on it and everything.
Yeah, Josh is good.
Yeah.
He did all the ones out at Pete Anderson's.
Yeah, he did my shed in the back,
Did he?
that little 20 by 20. Yeah. He did it, done in a day.
Anybody have anything else for Drew?
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.
Chief?
As you see the report, so I'm not gonna go line by line through that, but it was a pretty busy month. December kind of sticking about like November did. So, the only thing to note really, not on the paper, is the free camera that's set up behind, Public Works. The trial period is up on it. So we're just waiting on the cost. And we haven't got that yet. So when we do, we'll pass that information along. The goal is to keep that there. You like that there, don't you?
I do,
Yeah. So.
Keeps me from having to ride in here during snowstorms and stuff. I can check the street just when you kick from the shop.
Well, that's nice.
Yes.
And the camera system, I think, has helped us between November and December saw at least another 3 incidents, one a hit and run on Main Street. So future, we really need to add south part of town, because we're pretty much uncovered past the square. So, but it's been invaluable. You guys, I mean.
With one of the tag reader cameras down at that end too, because.
Yeah.
What is there, 3 tag reader cameras, front of the police department,
Here.
at the,
Yeah, square and then
square,
down
down
north.
there.
Wouldn't be bad, I did have one at that end of town.
I was gonna say, it's, we had that bank robbery at one time, plus Ace getting robbed.
Yeah,
It'd
there's,
be ideal to,
there's
Yeah,
nothing
we
down
need something
there.
down south. We sort of, you know.
But the hit and run that we just saw, the one camera,
That was a standard.
one camera, standard, you couldn't read the tag, it was too blurry.
Yeah.
But the other ones, we were able to get it on.
So,
Chief, speaking of cameras,
Yes, sir.
this past Friday night,
Friday night, yeah,
Friday
Friday and
evening.
Saturday.
Friday and Saturday morning between 2 and 3 o'clock,
There were 2 separate incidents, it sounds like 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
the scouts were camping down in the park.
yeah,
I know they were camping there.
yeah,
And they had some intruders.
okay.
If you could get Amy to try to check the cameras down there in the park, see who the boys were.
We can.
What did they do?
Yeah. So Friday into Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I mean,
okay.
they were just being belligerent and
Yeah.
sounds like teenagers, but throwing sticks at the tents, just, you know.
Between 2 and 3.
Yeah, they said they came through twice. The first time was about 2 o'clock and then the second time was about 3 o'clock. I slept through it, so.
Okay.
You sure it was none of the guys playing tricks on you?
No, it was not any of our kids. They would not speak like that. It was pretty
Okay.
bad, it sounds like.
Okay.
These are all girls, correct?
No, there were 2
Well,
separate
two-
troops.
2 troops?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
our boys know better than that.
Okay. Yeah, check that out. for
Maybe
me.
it's done
Friday,
after
yeah.
tops.
And then Sunday, we had the Boy Scout home at Sunset.
Yes.
They left it unsecure?
Jim found it open on Sunday.
Because I know they were in there Saturday night,
Yeah.
late when I left.
Sunday about
It was still
9:30,
open.
Jim called and said the doors were open, so. I actually had a contact from years ago, and it was a good contact. So,
Anything coming to that Valley View Townhouse Complex meeting? I didn't hear any update.
Oh, we just talked about, right, were you asleep
Where
during
did
the
you
conversation?
She barely asked it.
he needs another cup of coffee.
Okay, I'm fine. I'll get it there later.
Yeah, the road, we're gonna make improvements when we redo, the mountain road, when we tear it up from the Signal Blacktop over in North Point. Okay, sir?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions of Chief? Thank you, gentlemen. You guys are doing a great job. I see you everywhere. And that's what we wanted, visibility.
Just
For
don't
good
pull me
comments
over.
from the public.
I would never pull anybody sitting at that front table over for anything.
Thank you.
You better. If they're doing something wrong, you better.
Any of them.
Well, there's one person hanging their head, no names.
I was already informed.
That was your first one though too, wasn't it?
One of the first,
Yep.
I've actually sat in the back seat of the car while we were actually.
it's okay, or keep EMS is fixed. Never happened again.
Everything, it happens. It happens.
It hasn't happened to me in years. Years.
Is that true, James? Did you run the history?
That's another conversation.
I have only ever had one speeding ticket, and it was like 2 months after I got my license.
You mean you only have the court?
No, I have finished. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I had Chuck pull me over one time, and I got out of my truck and I went back and looking at my taillights. He said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I thought I might have a burnout taillight because I know I wasn't speeding." He said, "You wasn't." I said, well, why did you pull me over? He said, I wanted to talk to you. As a child, of all places to pull me over, right in front of Ray Huffman's house. I said, if you're all over Boonesboro, I got a speeding ticket.
Yeah, that kind of sucks when everybody's talking about it.
Yeah. But it's all fun. Mayor and council corresponding. Anybody have anything? Do want to remind you all this Friday at 12 noon, everybody should have got a notice. The town Christmas dinner is out, luncheon is out at American Legion at 12 o'clock. It's nothing special. All the employees every year said they just want the menu and order off the menu. That's all they want. So everybody gets no alcohol, folks. No alcohol. The town will not pay for any alcohol. So everybody's invited. So the council, please try to come by.
Not you.
Not you.
No, I just said they can drink on the job.
No.
Oh, well, you said you tell them not buying it.
No.
After they're
After they're off the clock.
And they take their trucks.
And they take their trucks home and they're in their personal vehicles. They're on their own.
What it sounded like to me.
Don't read into it, no.
The only thing I would add is, this is just an update from my personal experience. Vanish has made some, major improvements in the concert venue. I don't know if any of you have been to a concert at Vanish, but it's, earlier it was not very pleasant. I mean, the whole building shook. It was designed as an auction house. It was not for concerts. I mean, the whole damn building. Yeah, but they made some major improvements to soundproofing and the sound system, so it's actually going to be a much nicer venue, and I hope it continues. So
I know they've had excellent crowds. Every time you go by.
Oh, my
there,
goodness,
the
yeah.
lot is full.
Yeah.
You guys haven't had any problems with any of them? That's good.
Just one.
Yeah,
Just
one.
one.
You always have one bad
There was
apple in
a-
every crowd.
There was a volunteer kid, and he was drinking, and he knocked some stuff over.
Oh, my.
So the car's daddy.
Good. Okay, new business, contract award 2024-2025 snow removal.
So we put out an RFP for, snow removal services. The lowest bid was Botanica, which, is who we had our 2023-4 contract with. And, actually, I found in the minutes that last year we had, or you guys had approved, an option to extend a contract if the contractor was in agreement for it. And, the pricing that Botanica submitted is the same as it was last year, and it was still the best price, so, I think that we should go with Botanica again.
Do I have a motion to accept Botanica?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstain, motion carries. There was an addition, the RA.
We already took
We
care of that.
approved that during my staff report.
Okay, good enough. Moving right along. Board of Zoning Appeals, members need reappointed. Instead of doing them individually, would you all, has everybody accepted?
Daryl Jones and Linda Moser did not reply,
Okay.
but everyone else did accept another.
Okay, so that still gives us majority, a quorum, so. The people to be reappointed is Carol Long, Sarah Sweeney, Natalie Mose, and alternate Scott Brace.
Can we, add Daryl and Linda to it, and if they decide that they don't want to do it, then they just step down from their role?
We can do that, we can go ahead and vote Daryl.
Yeah, that way
Jones
it's all
and then
taken care of.
others too.
I said that way it's all taken care
So
of.
are you doing it like retroactive during their terms.
So I thought
expired,
about
or how
that.
do we-
Initially, that was how I thought that we needed to do it, but considering that this board does not meet very often, in fact, I don't think they met at all in 2023, and now this is just once in 2024, I think that it would make more sense to go ahead. Plus, there were no meetings since they had expired, so I'm not sure that, so if you guys are okay with that, I think we should make it a new term, December 24 to December 27. If you guys are okay with that. Their terms are supposed to be staggered, but they're also supposed to be reappointed before they expire. So it's already kind of.
Yeah. How long have they been expired? It's been a while.
2022 and
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sarah and Linda both expired in 2022. And then Carol, Daryl, Natalie, and Scott were all May of 2024.
I
There
said
is
something to
some
Sarah
benefit
back
to
in
having
2023. She was
alternating.
I'm sorry, what?
There is some benefit to having alternating expirations, because that way you don't lose everybody at once. You know, I need to have some continuity to help new people, so I don't know whether we want to consider that.
So it was 4 and 2 before. There were 4 on one date and 2 on the other.
Is Carol still the chair?
Well, that's up to them.
We just wanted to make sure that we had current members in place for the appeals next week.
They don't meet that often.
No.
Like I said, it's probably been 2 years since they've had a meeting.
Well, what if we do like 3 years and 2 years, and we can do the 2 years to the 2 that haven't answered, and we can address that. Anybody else have thoughts, or it doesn't matter?
Whatever y'all want to do.
Well, aren't their terms though 4 years?
Yeah.
Well, it says 3-year term.
3-year term.
Oh, 3-year
Yeah,
terms, I'm
they're
sorry.
For 3-year terms.
I'm for that. Yeah, always extend. 3 years for the ones that responded, 2 for the ones that hadn't.
Or if you'd like, we could just do 3 years for the ones that did respond, and then we can wait until the next time, because they didn't respond to the meeting invitation either, right, Drew? So if they're not even gonna be showing up next week, then maybe the next time we have an appeal, then we will try to get them reappointed.
So, but what if happens if somebody misses, like, what do we need for a quorum, only 3? For the
It's
next
5
meeting?
members, so it should
Right.
just be 3.
I mean, I just don't want us to not,
Right, it has
you know
to
what I
be 3.
mean? Advertise, and then we don't have enough members there.
You know 3
to
are
make
coming,
it.
right, Drew?
Yes.
Right.
That's fine.
What about the chairman? Can they have a vote?
Chairman.
To break it.
Okay.
Well, you'd have, if there are only 3, you're not gonna have.
Well, you would if one of them's
Just like
the chair. No, no.
Depends on how many.
How many?
It's 51%.
Yeah, but Carol's one.
Six.
Carol's
If you
one.
do have a tie, the chairman
Oh,
does
she
have a
won't
tie.
have us for her, so that would be 4. And then, yeah, but the other.
That's why it wasn't hard for her,
have.
Vegas
That's why we
to
can't
convince
make
Carol
so
to
this
take the
account,
position as
that's
chairperson.
Is the alternate coming, Drew? Scott Race?
I believe so, yes.
Well, then he'll
And that
count.
would be 4.
Yeah, so that's fine.
He's the alternate,
Right.
so he could
can
vote if he needed.
Right, he has to.
There you go.
So what's the motion? Do you want to appoint Carol, Sarah, Natalie, and Scott to a 3-year
3-year
term? And Daryl and Linda to 2-year term? Or?
Well, but it says
So
board
they-
members serve 3-year terms.
So,
Well, we
why
can
don't-
all, we can put them all to 3 years.
But they
I mean,
would stagger.
I don't wanna slight, Linda or Dale, because they've both been.
Yeah, they've been
on
both
for a
very
while,
good
So I
units,
don't wanna
yes,
just
yeah.
because it is the holidays, somebody could be away or miss an email too.
I can make a recommendation and say that you either appoint everybody, whether they responded or not, or if you want to stagger it, only appoint the 4 that responded, and then the next time we need to have a meeting, then we get them reappointed. so that they are staggered, even if it's only a couple months.
I don't like that we know that their term has ended, though. I say do them all the same way.
I agree.
Yeah,
So
we
I
have to
make
do
a motion
better.
to
This
do
is
all the
ridiculous.
same.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion to do them all the same.
Yes, I'll make a motion to do them all the same.
Here it is, is that
So you're
second?
second? I made the motion, you're
is
second.
that second?
I'll second it, whatever.
We have a motion and a second to do everybody, all of them for 3-year terms. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, employee Christmas luncheon and bonuses.
So as Howard said, our lunch is going to be this Friday. The past few years, at the very least, we've given bonuses to all employees based on the years that they've been employed. Up to 1 year. If the person's been employed with the town for under a year, they get $100. If it's been 1 year, they get 100 plus $10. 2 years, an additional 10. So somebody who's been employed 3 years gets $130. If, once the person hits 10 years, they're capped out at $500 for a bonus. I spoke with the personnel committee and they wanted me to bring it to you guys for approval. I'm recommending a small change that instead of having this huge gap where it's only $10 a year until they hit 10 years, I would like approval for people who have been employed for 5 years. They get bumped up instead of getting 140. They would be bumped up at 5 years to $250. And then 6 years, they would get $260, 7 years, $270, until they reach that 10-year point and get 500 and are maxed out. I think that 5 years is, that's good. If we keep somebody for 5 years, not all departments, I mean, we do have a few that thankfully have stayed with us a long time, but for the most part, I think 5 years is a good milestone and should be recognized that they've stayed with us. But also, I just think the jump from 190 for 9 years to 500 for 10 years is just odd.
It's just smoothing it out, and the personnel committee has, reviewed and unanimously supports.
It doesn't blow our budget.
It does not. This year, we budgeted $7,000 for employee appreciation, and while we will use like $350 of that for the dinner or the lunch, we haven't used any more of it, and we're already halfway through the year.
Do you want to make the motion, Brad?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we accept as Rachel's plan.
I'll
with the
second it.
Christmas bonuses.
We have a motion and a second to accept Rachel's plan for Christmas bonus. Any other discussion?
I might say, when I first looked at this, I thought the amounts were low. Of course, I'm used to working down the road, different amounts of money and such. I know all my budget and that sort of thing. So, I'll agree with the motion and the second, but perhaps I could put a bug in the personnel committee's ear to discuss a little further next year.
That's fine, Eric, and bring it up, and I'll try to remember that, and we can certainly discuss that.
Yeah, that way we can budget appropriately. for
Yeah,
next year.
budget appropriately. Maybe we should discuss that before, in the springtime, have this conversation. Yeah. Tim, should we just put that down?
Actually, you want to start talking about it in January.
Yeah.
That's why they're working on the budget, but
Perfect.
we start talking about it in January and February. Okay, good.
Thank you, Eric.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstain. Motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. I think that's an excellent increase. I think it'll be greatly appreciated.
We do have a good staff here, a good crew, Public Works, wastewater treatment plant, police department. We've got my personal opinion, probably best police department we've had in years, if ever. Because we've had some bumps in the road with our police department, but we've got excellent officers now, and hopefully we can keep you guys, well, most of you guys around for a long time.
All of you, why are you saying that?
Well, I know Dave gets.
One of us is really old and getting ready to.
No, you're not.
Hey, well, maybe we can feel.
Would a horse entice someone?
It's an horse for you though, that seems to be on.
If not, we can get an electric bike or something.
There you go.
Segue with a tail.
I thought you were gonna say like a Corvette.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Have a Corvette.
Line striping for Chase 6 Boulevard. That must be you, Drew, with your screen all up, ready to go. Yes, sir.
So you all asked a number of months ago, you had a discussion about the J6 project and the realignment, and you had discussions about doing something to prep the residents of Fletcher's Grove. But that road is going from a very glorified cul-de-sac to, it's gonna be a very, very heavily traveled road.
Right.
You asked your planning commission to give you some recommendations. I wrote this up for you. I think it is important to note that the planning commission actually spent a number of months on this. And after a very lengthy review, the planning commission chose the option that requires no construction, only striping differences. They did look at putting accel and decel lanes in and other things, but in the end, what the planning commission decided was when the commercial lots go to develop, when they come before the planning commission for the site plan, if their traffic is going to impact it, then they can pay for those improvements. So the September 24th meeting, they approved this striping plan. This is at the full striping plan's attached, but this is kind of the blow up. This is going into the Weiss. So you have coming into here, this is your coming into Weiss here. This is the stormwater management pond. These are the empty lots up here. These are the commercial lots. This is the road that doesn't go to anywhere. Currently, right now, there is one double yellow line that goes down. There is no distinction for right turns, left turns, anything. What the plan is would be to restripe from where they did the work at the intersection. That line is there. It's really faded, but it is there. And then restripe it, and it would look like that. Get out of the way so you can see it. But the idea behind it is that there's a dedicated turn lane for vehicles to come in, and there's a way for people to get around. Obviously, if McDonald's goes in on that corner, or Free Range goes in there, their impact, whatever their vehicular impact is, they may be necessitated to actually widen the intersection and actually cut out and put in turn lanes here and or turn lanes here. You know, the traffic studies will tell us what that is, but the planning commission is recommending restriping it with this layout. And the planning commission also reached out. Here's the full set of plans. So you can look at these. I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen. It's in the PDF. It's much better. But I did reach out to Alpha Space Controls. They're a line striping company. And this, it's not a bid. I just did it so that you would have a number.
An idea.
You would know what range you're in. And it's basically about $6,000.
And also, I had a conversation this morning. I got a phone call last Friday from the State Highway. I called him back and he was gone took Friday afternoon off after he called me. I talked to him this morning and they already have it in their plans to, once Chase 6 intersection out Mapleville and the school is connected, they're gonna do a traffic study at the traffic light there on Alden on Route 40. Alden at 40 for a left turn lane because people putting a left turn light in there for people to come out of the project because of people having to wait so long to get out on Alden at 40.
Yeah.
And they will not do that study until that street's done the whole way through because they said right now it's not enough traffic to do it.
And I just want to make sure the council understands that price quote is restriping from where the state highway stopped here, all the way to here. So it's, that 6,000 isn't just this intersection here. Obviously, this is, you can see the line that's there now. And we'll put in those turn lanes. There is enough physical space to actually do this. So I just want to make sure the $6,000 isn't for this, it's for all of this.
Question, say there's enough space for turn lanes, do we have to do any like red curves or no parking signs?
The whole area around there will have to be no parking.
Is that?
That's
is
not
it-
in
no,
this
that's
plan yet.
Just restriping it.
I was gonna say, can we just put signs there or just, are we striping?
I think the way they have it shown there for the striping, should probably prevent most of that. And the reason I say that is because they're gonna run the white line for the straight through lane. There's not gonna be any place to park. You know what I mean? It's not.
Plus, it's a continuous way of travel now. It isn't now, but it will
Right,
be,
but
so that
unless we
prohibits
have
parking.
it marked, don't we run ourselves into an issue or not?
You could. I mean, it's something to think about.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Signs don't cost that much.
Signs or.
No, I was just
Yeah,
wondering,
we
you know,
paint-
completing the project, doesn't
They
that
pay
have to be
cheaper
part of
than
it
signs.
doing?
One thing we could do is put the white line, add a white line, a solid white line
On the
On the
edge.
side.
right on the edge, right here, just so it's crystal clear that this is a travel lane.
Yep.
And there's no shoulder.
Yep.
So that can be, I mean, you could approve this with that amendment. It's a good idea.
Yep.
It's a good idea. I mean, because, again, we're trying to change traffic
Right,
patterns.
not that I see people parked there. a
But you
lot,
just don't know.
But, yeah, I'm just trying to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking once the place got bigger, people would try to park there.
Yeah, you know.
Right, if it's McDonald's and you wanna run
Not
across the
marked, if they
street.
park there for a parade
Yeah.
or for different things, you know, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, gotta have crosswalks and all that.
So the ball is back in y'all's court. You asked the planning commission for a recommendation. They've given you one. You've kind of looked at it. You've thrown out your 2 cents. It's your decision from here out.
And to be clear, what we're asking them to decide is if we are going to go ahead and seek quotes for this.
If the council approves this, we'll do exactly what the town manager just said. That is, we'll follow our bidding procedures. We'll go out, we'll get quotes, and we'll come back with an actual approval of a cost.
Do we have a motion to give the planning commission or Drew authority to go ahead and put this out for bids?
I'll make that motion with the modification about the white line.
All right. Well, I was gonna say maybe get it quoted both ways, but, or if you just wanna add the side white lines.
I think you all, I go with the white lines. Absolutely.
And for clarification, it does not have to, we don't have to follow, we don't have to issue,
It can go out for competitive.
we
quotes.
don't have to issue an RFP, is what I'm trying to spit out. We just need three quotes.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to put it out for bids. Bids, we don't have to do an RFP because that's already done.
Then I guess my next, yeah, I was good. Do get quotes.
Ray made a motion and Ricky seconded.
No, Eric made the motion.
Eric made a motion and Ricky seconded, or Ray seconded.
Ricky did.
Wait,
Wait, where's that? Oh, but no, not Brandon.
No.
Never knows what's happening, don't worry about it, Howard. She's got you.
Just say aye.
Yes, say aye.
Just say aye.
Do we have, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's rubbing off, Rachel. Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
I would
Thank
ask
you.
when we come back with these quotes that we have some suggestions from the treasurer or somebody where that it is in our budget to cover that. if we want to.
Well, I mean, the good and the bad news for Chief Six is that we,
Well, I know we have to do it. My question is, if we want to do it before June 30 to get people to have it, then we do need to know where we're finding it in our current budget, what money we're moving to.
How about we provide you the bids, we propose a budget amendment that you can see.
I don't know, I'm fine with the.
But
budget
also the
amendment.
road, the road has to be there.
Gotta know
Yeah.
Yeah.
where it's going, you know. I just, you know what I mean, like if we've got enough in where we're over under budget, you know. Cause you know I'm gonna ask the question when you come, say we wanna spend money on
We
this
know.
thing. 'cause I know it
Where's it
wasn't
gonna
in the
come
budget.
Yep.
Do we have to
Anything else,
allocate
sir?
any cats?
Nothing else? Thank you,
About
sir.
the buzzers or
Allocate
whatever
the
they
cats.
are.
buzzards.
The buzzards, yeah.
what?
Oh, gosh.
Buzzards.
You've never seen the buzzards at White's?
No, there's no cats and buzzards out
Yeah,
there.
I
No, the cats are
don't look
pretty,
at
cats
that.
are gone.
Did you?
That's all I'm gonna say, the cats are gone. Commissioners report, park board.
That's where the cats are.
Park.
Well, anyway, you guys took my thunder other than, the walking trail update, we know about that. Basketball court update, we're waiting, whatever that was last time. Tree board update, they did an update on the tree board. Disc golf course, did an update on that. I think they're moving right along pretty good. Then after that, I guess they talked about, we had a special guest with us, it was Rachel. I felt bad because I didn't introduce her and everybody's like, who's that?
This was at least the second one of their issues.
Yeah.
She's just a very interested citizen.
Yeah. The park looked nice for the old time Christmas. It really looked nice. Hats off to Greg.
And thank
And his
the
crew.
Reavers for donating a tree.
You're quite welcome.
Very nice. Nice and full.
I was gonna try to get it transplanted, replanted. It would have cost like $2,900 to move that thing. I said, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I said, nah, just go ahead and take her out of there.
We're gonna dig that stump out as soon as we get caught up. I got some county ponds and things, and I'll be out to dig that stump out.
No hurry.
Just so you know.
No
I forgot to tell you.
No, I'm in no hurry. Other than that, everything is up to date. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Ricky? Hearing none. Andy's not here. You got a
I'm
report?
giving,
You giving it?
Eric wasn't able to attend the BMUC meeting, so if I can just find my notes. Okay. We had a guest speaker at the last BMUC meeting. It was Jordan Rubel from American Flow Control, and he also had Grace Wild with him. Mr. Rubel presented material about hydrants and the services that AFC has to offer. We haven't had a lot of communication with them for a long time, so he wanted to just reach out, hand out his card, make himself available. We mostly had updates that you guys have already heard. New business that was discussed was the fixture unit count for highs. The board approved 4 EDUs, 4 highs. They decided that we want to review our tap allocation list quarterly and also update it when new taps are issued. So even though it wasn't due for an update, now that 4 have been assigned to highs, we'll review it at the next meeting, I think. Or at least update it from this meeting.
So it's gonna be 4 taps now.
For highs.
Okay.
And then at the next meeting, we want to have a discussion about controlled growth because of all the projects that are happening really quickly and all the taps going out and just all the moving pieces. Our chairman wanted added to the next agenda, discussing a plan for our growth. And then I think it just warrants repeating. I know we said it at the last meeting. I think Greg had 3 backups in 1 week just from the flushable wipes, so just making sure everybody knows that they really aren't flushable. They're causing a lot of issues, so.
And it will be in the newsletter that's going out. It's front and
I
center.
know we've said it a couple times.
Well, and I
we put it
did
on
see your
Facebook, but-
postings on Facebook and saw they shared it on the
It's on the town webpage.
page and some different things, so.
I mean, all we can do is just put it out there. It's
Yeah.
up to people to actually do it, you know?
That was the main business discussed. Does anybody have any questions about what's going on with the BMUC?
Any word on highs when you're gonna start?
I know they're getting their plans reapproved through soil conservation. So as soon as they get that, my understanding is that they're gonna start.
They already got their permits lined up with the county, or they got?
They're having to renew them all because it had been more than 3 years since the plans were done, so. And they had to get a new site plan from us, which they received.
Yeah.
They took away the car wash. I
Yes.
tell everybody that.
Which I really wanted that hand.
What's the update on
That
the other
wasn't gonna be a
side?
hand one, though.
I know, I was really plugging for the hand-lawn car wash. for my
What's the
car.
update on the other side of the road?
Other side of the road, water and sewer has been in and inspected, correct, Greg?
Yes, sir.
All the water and sewer utilities are in. They've poured probably a third of the curb and gutter for Styles Place.
Okay,
With the weather and the cold.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them out there. Remember, we're using the bond money first to put the utilities in the road in. There's still a lot of other work there, but we're trying to get all of those lots of record road frontage with utilities. So, it's been kind of dead since it got really cold, but they were putting curb and gutter in. Actually, I've never seen anybody form it with wood like that, but it actually turned out okay.
They did the old school way.
I hadn't seen it done like that. I think ever.
Been a long time.
Yeah.
It's interesting we used to do it.
Yeah.
So, but what's gonna happen is you're probably not gonna see the road paved before you're probably not gonna see it till the spring, realistically. They're gonna fight weather and get curb and gutter in a little bit here and there, and they'll probably put stone down and wait till the asphalt plant's open, if I had to guess.
okay.
I did talk to the planning commission. I do wanna make it, I was getting a lot of phone calls from developers and investors for the preserve at Fox Gap. And they're asking me a lot of questions, and a lot of things they were asking me were not correct. So I was very clear with the planning commission. I asked them to tell me what my direction was. And the planning commission made it very clear that the planning commission will not review or entertain any development plans for anything in the preserve of Fox Gap until the stuff that was defaulted on, the work that was defaulted on, is fixed and accepted by the town in total.
Good.
So, another day or two after that, I got something that somebody actually asked me to put it in writing, so just letting you know.
Of course.
So, we'll see how that goes. But I think it's the right move.
It is.
I mean,
It
you
is the
have,
right move.
they have defaulted, there's a lot of work that needs to be done out there that their bond's not gonna cover. I think it would be foolish to approve future development plans when they haven't even been able to fulfill their obligations on the second phase they did, so.
They haven't even corrected the stuff that MDE told them to fix 2
No,
months ago.
Storm pipe's still sticking up in the air.
And they haven't cut the weeds down from down around the stream either.
Well,
So,
Hillis Cards is inspecting the curb and gutter there, just so you know. They're doing the compaction test, making sure they put the GAB and stuff in.
all right.
I'm still riding out and taking pictures, but they're the ones that are doing inspections on the curb.
Good.
I can't do nuclear compaction testing. I don't have the equipment.
You haven't had any problems with them since the last time, have you?
No, sir.
No, okay. Have to sell a car or two to when they finish it up.
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Planning Commission, Eric.
Yes,
Hey, Eric.
let me have another call for up here. I'll start by saying, I gave the planning and zoning report at the EDC election a couple of weeks ago. As I was speaking, the lady spoke up, and I said, Rachel, get her contact information. So a couple of days later, an application appears for a planning and zoning seat. And that was actually her that's been sitting there the whole time, and she just left a couple of minutes too early, right? So she did come to the last planning and zoning, gave a very credible interview. Previously had lived in Keedysville, was on their planning and zoning commission, and had worked on their comp plan. She has now moved to Boonesboro, out here on North Main Street, so she'd like to join the planning commission. And again, gave a credible interview. So I would ask the mayor if he would entertain calling for a motion to appoint her for a 4-year term, I believe that would be, for the vacant seat that we have.
We don't have like requirements for how long you have to live in town.
No.
Not that I'm aware.
I'm just curious.
Good question, but not that.
You know what I
I'm
mean,
aware.
like, you know, if you haven't.
Yeah, there's nothing
The fact that she's
for-
in the area helps, but is that?
There's nothing for commissions to say how long you have to. It's only mayor and council that it says how long you have to be a resident.
Please, you waving at me for Drew.
It's 5-year term.
Oh, is
5-year
it
term.
5?
It's 5.
And what is her name?
Jacqueline Piro.
Goes by Jackie.
Jackie.
Jacqueline Pyro? Is that how that-
Piro.
Piro, Piro.
I think it's Pyro.
Pyro. Do I have we have a recommendation to appoint Jackie, Pyro,
One of them.
to a 5-year term on the planning commission. Do I have a motion to accept it?
I will make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.
Needed to squeak by again.
Rachel, do you have?
Wait
her
long enough
contact
for somebody
information?
always drop in.
Sorry, what?
Do you have her contact information?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to ask Dave Farmer to keep in touch with you to, so he is chair of the commission to let her know she's been pretty.
Oh, you don't want me to do it right now.
Oh, you can do it, that's
That's
fine.
what I was doing.
She's gonna text
The only
you.
reason I was doing it is because she reached out to me at like 6 o'clock this evening and was like, did something happen? Cause I don't see it on the agenda. And so
Oh, well.
to her credit, she pays attention and she follows through on
Yeah,
things. And I
well-
told her we'd do it during her staff.
Well,
That
she-
was the plan to
Tell
do
her
it.
she just left a couple of minutes too early.
Yes. And
So-
she also, when she had expressed interest in applying, I gave her my card at the mixer. She emailed me before the mixer was even over. Like she
Seems
moves
like-
things along.
Seems like a sharp cookie, so I'll let Dave know that you've reached out to her.
Okay.
Okay, so for the rest of my report, which isn't much, we've already talked about Hasberry Store and the 4 taps. And they have revised their plans to remove the car wash and have diesel satellite pumps. The comprehensive plan, as Drew had in his report, there are no zoning changes being proposed for the whole area and no expanding or contracting of boundaries. So we're going to move ahead with a contract with Arrow to do something for the comp plan. And again, we have $25,000 in the budget for the comp plan. So we'll be moving along with something there. I've already talked about Ms. Puro. One of the other things that I might blame myself for, I kept asking Drew, when the heck is a site plan required? It seems like the paragraph that we currently have in our policy wasn't exactly clear. So Drew's kind of given the planning commission a task to review and update that paragraph, when's the site plan required. So we worked on that. We've already talked about the 4-unit apartments proposed up the street here for the zoning appeals on December 17. I plan on coming just for the heck of it to sit in on that. And that was all I had.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Eric? Hearing none, moving on. EDC, right?
There hasn't been a meeting. The next meeting is this Wednesday. And if you guys are chomping at the bit for something to do for 3 hours on Wednesday morning, I may not be there.
They're gonna have to be held to 2 hours because our pre-construction meeting is at
Oh, good,
10 o'clock.
good. That'd be hard to do based on past practice. But does anybody want to attend in my stead? Because I may have to go down to the nation's capital.
All these volunteers.
Right, man,
I'll be late, but I'll be there too.
I know you normally attend and you normally pop in and Brian kind of pops in. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah.
I'll be there. I mean,
Okay.
Because she's gonna make sure the meeting's moving along.
Yeah, you're gonna be there to get them out of here in 2 hours.
You may wanna give them a heads up.
Brian was supposed to.
Okay.
We may want to
You
even
have the
move them
room.
upstairs.
You could do that.
Yes, we could.
I mean, a few of
I mean,
us will
it's 'cause
still
nobody
have
can-
to
I mean, just-
leave.
There's just.
Pre-con has to be in here, but
No, I,
you're right, the
absolutely.
EDC doesn't, so that's,
I can text Terry tonight and
Tell her to be upstairs.
see if it's okay to move it up there. Wait.
Drew will just have to close his door.
Doesn't matter to me. I'll be at the EDC meeting, so it doesn't really matter.
You can listen to it, it's interesting.
I'm the first person on the agenda.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you go. You're their favorite, by the way.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
How fortunate are you?
Why is he their
That's not what they
favorite?
told me.
They just get excited, Drew's coming, he's gonna tell us stuff.
Yay.
So, you-
Drew's their favorite and the park board doesn't know who I am. Yeah, I feel the love.
Get yourself a name tag, Rachel.
Oh, I do want to thank the park board. It was nice adding the Grinch and the gingerbread
Yes,
man
it was.
to the old time Christmas chain that was so called at the time.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's nice. I liked all the things, all the Christmas thing, lights and stuff they're putting up down there now.
Very nice.
Starting to look nice down there.
Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg. Okay, the next character.
I want to do Snoop Dogg.
Thank you, Ray. All right, environmental, Terry.
The composting company we've been dealing with, Key City Compost, has merged with Compost Crew out of Rockville. And since we started this composting at the park, we have averaged 600 pounds of compost collecting per month, which is 4.5 tons have been diverted from the landfill. Barb Wetzel has applied for the Nora Roberts grant to get a glass crusher machine, which she said would cost between 95 to 100,000.
True. How big is that thing?
It needs stored.
And operated.
Yep, and operated.
And the places for the glass too, yeah.
Do they have a plan for who's going to operate it?
Well, that's my question. I guess they think it's gonna happen on Saturdays when the guys down here with your,
The mulch site.
yeah, the
And that'd be
land,
the only time that the public
Right.
works guys could do it, be when the one's sitting at the mulch site.
right. So maybe Cassandra needs to be asked that question.
Yeah, I think they need more
They've
land.
been asked for.
You what?
It's been asked for.
Of her, to her?
To the group
Oh, okay,
that's looking into it, who's gonna operate it.
okay.
That's been asked before, and they keep saying public works.
Oh, well then, see, that's not brought up at the meeting.
No.
So if there's meetings that are held, I don't know about
This
that.
was the time that we met here, well, you weren't at that meeting, they had somebody come. No, you were at that meeting, it was a mayor and council meeting. The guy came and made the presentation,
Mhm.
and they said that night, Public Works. But they never got back to us with the details and the exact cost. Now you're saying 95,000, this is first we've heard that, because they never come back to make a presentation on how much it's gonna cost.
Well, that's how much they've requested.
Yeah, but to this day, they told us when they left, they was gonna give us a price and come back to us. We haven't heard anything, they haven't been back to a council meeting yet to make a presentation on it.
Not to drag this down the road, but just to reiterate what I said earlier, our departments are already
Yeah.
kind of
They
maxed
are.
out right
Oh, I
now,
get it.
so,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Will you mention that to them at the meeting Monday?
Yes, there's logistics, I mean.
Right.
I'll chime in with an inside 10-second joke. Anita, it's just like it in this. Jonathan Hardis asking me, well, Eric, somebody will just have to do it. And I said, Dr. Hardis, who's the somebodies? It's the same darn thing. They just keep adding on.
Well, and I guess my other question would be, I guess the citizens would have to voluntarily bring it to the crusher, the same as they're
Right.
bringing.
They would have to bring it the
Bring it
same
to the-
day.
to the sale,
Debris,
yes.
yep.
Yes.
Can the citizens crush their
Sure they
bottles when they
can.
bring them in?
Oh, I don't know that I would let them do that.
That might be an insurance liability.
No, they can do that. If they get the right one, when you're talking about a $95,000 thing, that's a 480 volt and all, but it's a super huge thing.
And they called me the other day, just so you know, and asked me, and they figured out one thing is going to completely shut that down, is it needs three-phase electric.
That's what I
The
was.
closest three-phase electric is clear up at
easy.
the sewer plant. You'd have to come under that stream and all the way down, you're talking $50,000 to $75,000 extra on top of that.
Yeah, well, you could get,
I just told you that.
you can get one and just throw it right into the crusher, one bottle at a time, and get it, do the same thing, and be 110 volt or 220.
Okay,
I was just letting you know, Kathy Vesely called me and asked me.
okay.
And as Rachel says, I still have questions on what are the uses for this crusher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they've been, where is it, in
Walking trails, they
Winchester?
said, and stuff like that, it can be put on. in the gardening area, that type of thing, I think is where they wanna use that stuff.
Yeah, how about a scrub? You know, they got like that salt scrub.
So anyway, the Appalachian Trail Committee, they said that the connector trail is stalled, because of 1 out of 2 landowners are unwilling to provide an easement. And I think that's about it. They're gonna add try to get some composting bins in the community garden.
Say that again, Terry, about the Appalachian Trail?
1 out of 2 landowners has stalled it because they aren't gonna give an easement.
So that's,
Oh,
I think that happened.
Yeah, that's the short.
yeah, it did. Probably the same one. Probably the same
Towns
one.
give composting bins to residents? Do we still do?
I never knew that.
No,
We
we have,
put it
we have.
They're
we have
$20.
here for sale.
Composting bin, or they, like, they bought them for $20.
$20 when they Kim, yeah, they could buy them.
Good composter.
Didn't Katie still come get the rest of them, or somebody?
They were gonna buy some of them.
Yeah.
They were gonna take
I think there was
some.
like 11 left, and they went out.
But then when you composted at your house, you kind of used it yourself, or any mulch or whatever. So then,
It takes.
putting the bins in the park,
It
so
takes
people could get one and
years.
have that as their own.
Something you'd like to share with the group?
No. We talking about composting.
Oh.
That's it. She's gonna cover for my meeting on Wednesday evening.
Anybody have any questions?
And they're having that meeting at 7:30
Yes,
instead of 7.
yes.
Correct.
Anybody have any questions of Terry?
I have to come out 3 hours.
I have a question for Ray.
Yes, sir.
What was the meeting today? Is it pretty big for something? What did I see on the calendar? Or a note somewhere, something on the morning of December 9? Or did it not happen?
Tentatively, the pre-construction had been scheduled for December 9th, but it ended up being December 11th.
Okay.
Is that what you're?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Anybody have anything else that comes before the council?
Well, the EDC's gonna be talking about the sign at the circle, so it'd be 4 hours. Just so you know.
Well, their favorite and I
Right.
will be leaving the meeting at 10 o'clock to come down for the pre-con.
Their favorite.
Yes.
The chosen one has left the room.
Chosen one.
Ryan's gonna be upset to find out he's not the chosen one.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to
I'll
adjourn.
second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstain, motion carries. Everyone have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Thank you for showing up once again.